Everyone should have a pond in their garden. A pond in the garden is the most beneficial aspect to the garden you can have. But we were losing about 9,000 ponds a year in this country. I have seen in my last 20 years the frog populations depleting, newts depleting. We are losing biodiversity at such a great rate across the planet. We all know this, we all realise this, and as a species, we can do a lot to help this. My name's Pete the Pond, and I've been building wildlife ponds for over the last 25 years, and that's been a great big part of my life.
Over the last century, 500,000 ponds have been lost in the UK, but one man is fighting back. Pete the Pond has been restoring wildlife ponds for over 25 years and is considered by many to be one of the foremost experts in the country.
I build roughly between 15 and 20 new wildlife ponds a year. Some of my good years I've built as many as 60.
Pete has lived here for nearly 40 years, and his gardens gradually become a wildlife refuge. It's a forest of rare plants across more than 40 ponds.
Altogether, at the moment, I've got roughly 180 to 200 species of aquatics.
Looking after his garden keeps Pete very busy, and there are more ponds to build. But luckily, he has help.
Good girl. Good girl. Look, comes out for the day, don't you? I have had Lottie now for 7 years, so she's a good little girl. She sits on this shoulder all day.
Pete's on his way to Barkham in East Sussex, where he's been called in to try and restore a failing garden pond. Homeowners Nick and Harriet Lear want to transform their old pond into an aquatic wildlife haven, as it's become completely overgrown with one particular invasive species.
We've got Terry, big muscle Terry here, who's helping today, and we have Nathan, who's my foreman and son-in-law, helping today as well. We'll set up a paddling pool and put water into the paddling pool, and any life we find here we will catch and put into our tubs, and then that way we can keep them to put back in the pond when it's done. When I first started doing ponds and did the pond warden course, I didn't really get the concept of just how important ponds were to the wider environment and the role they played. It locks in carbon in the silts in the base, so we're helping climate change. It actually increases insect life in the garden, gives a water source for many, many creatures to drink from. Whatever comes to that garden needs a source of water.
While 1 in 5 British ponds are now thought to be in poor condition, things were very different when Pete was growing up.
At 6 years old, I lived in London, on the outskirts of London, in Surrey, and I grew up learning about bird life and wildlife generally.
Pete's passion for outdoor life was driven by a deep love for the natural world. But at just 18, his life was completely overturned.
I lost my leg on a motorbike when I was 18. That changed my life in the fact that it pushed me more into the career of doing jewellery, because it was a sit-down job, and initially when I first lost my leg, thinking I would be disabled and wouldn't be able to do a great deal of things, that pushed me more into that career, and that was what I did.
After 20 years as a jeweller, Pete's life changed again when he trained to become a pond warden, and he's never looked back.
After doing the course, I gradually changed my business aspect to become a pond warden, and then into a commercial pond builder, and that is now my life's work, really. My earliest memories was when I was 5 years old with my dad and my brother, sitting by a small garden pond and watching the frogs pop up behind the lilies and the irises in the pond. I grew up seeing that as a vivid memory and always had that love of a pond, love of a frog and seeing it. I grew up holding frogs from 5 years old, and I find it very hard to comprehend an adult who's never held a frog, never held a spider, never seen a hedgehog. It makes me actually quite tearful in the fact that I find emotionally I'm going to cry, because I have people that have never, children that never hold a live animal and are so scared of it and want to kill it. And that is absolutely frightening. Why are you scared of a bird? Why are you scared of an ant? Why are you scared of a spider? We've got to stop that thinking, and it really hurts my heart and makes me cry to think that the human race could be going down that route where life doesn't matter. It does, it gets me.
Pete's received a letter from his local council, and the future of his garden is at risk.
The use of the land for growing plants for commercial gain is an unauthorised change of use. But I don't do work from here. I go out to work and I take plants to go and use, to go in ponds to help protect our planet. The loss of species at the moment is so great that everybody should be doing what I do. It's ridiculous to tell me that my garden is wrong and everybody else's garden in the little close I live in is correct, when my garden supports wildlife and every other garden in this close is a desert because it's just bare lawns, is ludicrous.
After caring for his garden for over 30 years, the council have given Pete just 28 days to clear his beloved plants.
This would be a devastation of life. It would be like my house burning to the ground and having nowhere to live. This is where I live. I live in my garden. And if I had to put this back to a lawn without any species here, I would be mentally destroyed and would probably, in certain respects, commit suicide, because this is my love. I think it would drive me to that point. Hopefully I wouldn't go that far as suicide, but I think it could drive me to that point. Yeah, like tea. Yeah. She loves tea. Tea and ice cream. She shouldn't have ice cream, but she loves ice cream. Don't you? Yeah.
After Pete has built a pond, over time he maintains it as the plants begin to grow, and this attracts an abundance of wildlife.
When you come back and there's dragonflies swimming and here like kingfishers might have visited, toads and frogs and newts and hedgehogs and badgers, and that's what this becomes, is a haven of life. See, there is life in this pond when you find it. There we have a water scorpion.
I've never seen one of them in my life.
A water scorpion can't harm you. To know that's living in the pond, it shows that there's good life in that pond, because these only live in clean, good water. Beautiful little creature.
Over the years, Pete's ponds have helped a huge number of people around the country. Many of them have now launched a petition, helping him to defend his garden.
When they told me what they planning to do, I sat in here on this chair, bawling my heart out, and I really thought to myself, I don't know what to do. And so I just started reaching out to everybody that I could think of that might be able to give me an answer or a way out of what was going to happen. And that responses was so greatly received and was so amazing that in some respects, I realise I'm not alone in the world.
With the online petition growing in support, Pete gets back to work.
Do next. Right, that's good. Shapes in, legs on. I like the shape. It's got a bit of character. I've got exciting bits to go with that yet. You don't know what's happening there yet. You haven't seen what's going to appear. If you can get them to stick on the nose, they're really good, because they got fantastic. Look at that. Look at that lovely, superb snail. A beautiful creature. When I finished it today, it will be okay, because it's taking time to settle. When I come back in 6 months' time, then to me it looks wow, because that's when the change has happened. 18, 19, 20, 21 species of plant in here.
It's another pond complete, and Pete secured yet another valuable habitat for wildlife.
The accident actually gave me a zest for life, and realised, look, all life on the planet is very precious, and also being disabled, you realise that you can do anything, even if you're disabled. There's nothing you can't do. At the end of the day, if you're after something to achieve a goal in the end, and you really want it hard enough, you'll get there, and you can do it.
Pete's received a final letter from the council, and they've come to a decision.
In the view of the limited nature of the breach, the council have concluded that, in line with the agreed schedule of delegation, that the matter does not warrant any formal enforcement action. At this time, the council will not be taking any further action in this instant. The council acknowledge that the use of your garden is for hobby purposes. I'm very relieved, and this is a very good letter to say, yeah, you know, councils, you've got to learn a better way of life, really, because that's, you know, puts it all in context, really. That they just don't know what they're talking about in any way. One for the shelf. After having all that support and all the support from these petitions, I realised that actually a lot of people out there supported me for what I do. I've built about 70 ponds in schools and taught probably 10,000 school children over the years I've been doing this, not realising that all those children have grown up, and when they saw my name and read about what was going on, they then returned by supporting me. And in some respects, it's what the good thing that's come out of it is, even though it sort of broke me for a few months, I've realised that I am needed out there to carry on with the good work I do. My life's building ponds. I will be building ponds until I drop dead. I won't be giving up this career ever. I think I am destined for it. I feel it's fate. I feel it's a destiny that I'm there to fulfil, and I don't see myself in my 80s and 90s and 100s not doing what I do now.